we saw a thriller down to the wire. Philadelphia squeaks one out at home. This game, I mean, it looked like they didn't want it at the end, but they were able to pull it away. Oh, CeeDee Lamb, Richard, I want to start there because you seemingly called him out on Undisputed. You said he was not a wide receiver one in this league. But ever since then, he's had some monster games. And here's another one. 11 receptions for 191 yards. He fumbled the football. Richard, is your thought changing on this guy at all? I know I asked you the same question last week.
Every week.
Has it changed? Is CeeDee Lamb a wide receiver one? Come on now.
He's been very productive. You got to give him credit. He's in the wide receiver one for the Dallas Cowboys. He wouldn't be on the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's just what it is, you know. But he had a monster game. You got to give him credit. He was getting open. He made big plays when they needed him. But it was a couple curious plays there at the end because Dak played a really good game. CD played a good game. Ferguson played a good game. Their offense overall looked really impressive. Tony Pollard had a solid game, you know, nothing crazy. He had one kind of big run. But there was a play second to last possession where it was 4th and 8 that seemingly looked like it was potentially for the game. And he didn't go to CeeDee Lamb. And those are the plays where you're like, okay, what do you guys really think of this guy? Because that was game on the line, 4th down, 1-on-1. I need him to win, and you go somewhere else. You go to probably your third best option today because Jake Ferguson had been winning 1-on-ones throughout the entire game as well. So it was a curious decision, but you got to give him credit. He's been playing really good football. He's making a case for sure.
Other side of the ball, the Eagles just continue their dominance. The brotherly shove gets in the end zone again this week. Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown, did his thing. You know, a little bit of worry going into half. It looked like he was hurt, but he finished 17 of 23, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 130-plus passer rating. Richard, Jalen Hurts, I mean, he's had a hell of a year. Is he a legit MVP candidate? I know this is kind of the time of the season where people start to separate themselves. Jalen Hurts has kind of put his hat in the ring in that conversation, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, I think it's tough. You know, I mean, he's had a really good season, but when you got A.J. Brown on your team, I mean, he's obviously, you know, I mean, this is the first game in the last, 6-7 weeks that he hasn't had over 100 yards. So he would be in the conversation for the MVP race. You know, Dak had an MVP-like performance this game, throwing for 374 and 3 touchdowns. But, you know, I like Jalen Hurts, and I think he's having a solid season, but this is not his best season. He's amongst the league leaders in interceptions this year. He didn't have one in this game, so, you know, I'm sure they're happy and excited about that. But it's tough to put him in that conversation with the turnover numbers being so high.
I'm with you, Rich. What intrigues me about Philly is they're versatile, right? I mean, they can get it done on a number of different facets, especially offensively. Their defense kind of speaks for itself. But offensively, DeAndre Swift, not the best of games, but if you can get him going, establish a good run game, when you got the receiving core they do, Philly looks extremely tough to beat in the NFC. I'm just hoping and praying that they get knocked off here in the coming weeks so my Detroit Lions can somehow steal that 1 seed, because I certainly don't want to be seeing this team in the playoffs.
Something magical happens when the third quarter ends and the fourth quarter begins. The energy changes. The fourth quarter is where games are won, where champions are made. And in business, it's where sales teams become legends. That's why HubSpot built Sales Hub, to give sales reps the deal-making tools they need to win in Q4 and close the year strong. Sales Hub's prospecting workspace organizes your schedule, goals, and to-do list in one place to save your team precious fourth quarter time. Smart sequences help sales reps close deals faster than ever. With an easy-to-use management tool, reps can find, track, and close deals all in one place. Plus, AI forecasting helps you accurately predict future success, which means less hoping for deals and more crushing targets. Put your sales team on the fast track to winning Q4 with Sales Hub. Learn more at HubSpot.com/sales.
Story of the day is probably down in Houston.
No question.
CJ Stroud, monster game, 470 passing yards, set an NFL rookie record. This kid looks like a top 10 quarterback in this league right now. My first question for you is simply this. How in the world did Bryce Young go above CJ Stroud?
I mean, some guys, sometimes people just fall in love with certain guys, and that ends up being the story. I keep hearing there were conversations within the Carolina Panthers organization. Most people wanted CJ Stroud, but the owner stepped in and said, hey, we're taking Bryce Young. That's who I want. And he owns the team. So what can you do? Forget all the research and all the scouting for years and years that they've done. If the owner wants a guy, that's who they're going to pick. And that's what happened. But CJ Stroud is having an awesome, awesome rookie season. He was the first Ohio State quarterback to overthrow for 380 yards in an NFL game. He just broke the rookie record with 470 and 5 touchdowns and did it in a really, really, really cool way. 46 seconds left in the game, gets the ball, 2 timeouts. They blow both timeouts early in the drive. So pretty much does it with no timeouts, drives the ball down the field over and over. And every time you're just like, when is this kid coming back to earth? When is he, and you're like, hey, he can't get him out of this situation. Like Houston's supposed to be picking top 2, top 5 in this draft next year, and it doesn't seem like their team has gotten a hint. DeMeco Ryans has these boys motivated, and even after a big drive and a big touchdown by the Bucs, he responded. Didn't bat an eyelash. You see him, he's poised, really poised player, and no real big emotional spikes and peaks and valleys. He goes out there and just executed. Tank Dell, who he was on the phone, standing on the table for the Houston Texans to draft, had 6 catches for 114 and 2 touchdowns. This looks like a team that's going to be very dangerous come playoff team time if they can sneak in.
Well, no doubt. I meine, another level of it that you kind of left off, they were playing without a kicker for the better part of 3 quarters. I mean, right. Dare Agungbawale came in there and kicked a go-ahead field goal to put him up 3 in the waning minutes of this game. I mean, you're overcoming adversity on a number of levels. And it's just crazy because I think the Ohio State stigma of quarterbacks is what caused CJ Stroud to go number 2 and Bryce Young to go number 1. And I'm sure the Carolina Panthers right now are regretting that selection. Richard, you touched on it. This guy's got that winner mentality. They go down late in the game, 40 seconds left, and he just takes them down. Houston might be legitimate, not this year, but in the coming years. They don't have a first-round pick next year. They gave that up to get Will Anderson. But DeMeco Ryans, right? I mean, he took over this team with no head coaching experience, and he has changed this organization within 1/2 of a year. I mean, I know you played with DeMeco Ryans as a coach. Like, did you see this coming from him?
Well, I mean, I thought he'd be a great head coach. I didn't see him having a lot of success early because when a team loses their coach, usually it's because they aren't a great team and they don't have the talent, and they drafted well. They picked up guys. They got the quarterback they needed. They picked up Will Anderson, as we talked about. And so now they're starting to gel a lot quicker than I could have anticipated. I'm sure probably faster than he could have anticipated. This is a huge win for him and this organization. And I think they're going to be confident, again, going forward in these games. They're a dangerous team. People can't overlook the Houston Texans. They have the Cincinnati Bengals next week. And, I mean, that's a winnable game for them.
No doubt. They're becoming a lot of fun to watch. That young team that's on the rise.